Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? You've been waiting. You've been waiting for the Houston Astros to make a trade. Well, they did make a trade today. Is it the person you thought they would be trading? Is it the person that you thought that they'll be trading for? Well, we'll talk about this and more on this edition of the Locked On Astros podcast.
Yainer Diaz, this is Locked On Astros.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Astros, your daily Astros podcast. Here are your hosts, Eric the Man Huysman and Brett H-Town Wheelhouse Chansey.
We are Locked On Houston Astros, and we hope that you join us for a daily Locked On Astros podcast. My name is Eric Huysman. Brett can't join the show tonight, but thank you for making us your first listen. Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast. Go ahead and check us out. And thank you for making us part of the number one podcast network out there, Locked On. Thank you for making us the number one Astros podcast out there. And we hope that you join the Everydayers Club. It's just a extra option that we have. You don't have to, but for only $5 a month and $50 a year, you can get other stuff outside of the YouTube podcast. So I apologize for the earlier 10 minutes where I was apparently on mute. But we're going to go ahead and talk about this trade that the Astros made. They trade for another pitcher. I know you're going to say, but Eric, they don't need another pitcher. Why did they do this? But there are some numbers that support this decision to go ahead and make this trade. So that's they traded for another pitcher. B, who did they give up and who did they have to DFA? And if you're looking at spring training right now, what does the catching battle look like? Are the Astros going to make any more moves while all the focus has been on the infield? Because the infield is crowded, y'all. I think we need to focus a little bit on the catching situation. So let's go and get started on this Locked On Astros podcast. So I know that I was having a little trouble about thinking about what I was going to talk about tonight. I had some ideas, but then I saw this Chandler Rome say, hey, the Astros are about to make a trade with the Giants. And I know that it's hard to know if it's a fake Chandler Rome or a real Chandler Rome. So I went ahead and looked at it and I'm like, oh, this is a real trade. And so the Astros are acquiring, according to Chandler Rome and multiple other sources, Kai-Wei Teng from the Giants. And if you look at his stats, you might say, why, Eric? This guy sucked last year. It was a small sample size in only 8 games. 7 of those were starts. He had a 6.37 ERA, and he had a 2-4 record. He had 39 strikeouts in 29 2/3 innings. So strikeout rate was pretty good last year, but if you look at his career ERA, it's not great. 7.30. His career WAR is negative 0.8. But he is ARB eligible for the first time in 2029, and he is a free agent in 2032. So you get a lot of team control with this trade on a guy that has some experience, and there are some reasons why the Astros made this trade. If you look at the numbers, sure, it looks like it's a bad trade. Why did the Astros do this? There's no purpose for this. But just remember, the Astros go out there and they target certain pitchers. They target a specific type of pitcher, and I think that's what they're doing here. So I know that people are saying the Astros have a lot of pitching, and that's good. I've been saying for 2 years, stop going in with very little pitching depth, but they're going in with a little bit more in the bullpen, a little bit more in the rotation. So there are some battles in the rotation. There are some battles for maybe the bullpen, even though the bullpen is getting a little bit packed right now. So you might say, okay, well, why did they make this trade? I already talked about the team control, but you also had a bullpen that was pretty much out of options. So with a player like Teng, he does have options. You can option him down, but other players do not have options. So this is why the Astros did this. I think that Chandler Rome also said that he's likely going to be stretched out during spring training. If he does good, he can either earn a spot, maybe the final 2 rotation spots, or maybe the long man in the bullpen. But there are so many options, and that's the good thing that you need to have. This is something that Astros have not had in many years. And I know you have a loaded infield, but you have options. It's just finding roles for these guys. And that's what Dana Brown is giving himself right now. So if you look at Teng's number, sure. Then nothing about his just overall numbers, his county numbers, so to speak. Nothing says great. Wow, we won this trade. But if you look at his StatCast numbers, look at his sweeper. Spin rate is what the Astros like to focus on. Just what does that? Let's look at the movement. Let's look at what we can do with this guy. I know that last year he threw 222 sweepers. His spin rate was 2,769 with a whiff rate of 34.6%. He had a good put away percentage on that as well. So batting average on that was 191. So his sweeper is his best pitch. This is something that the Astros will probably focus on and make that his focus pitch, his put away pitch. His four-seamer was used 143 times last year, had a spin rate of 2,549 with a whiff rate of 25.8%, batting average of 214. And his changeup, which had the least amount of spin on it, changeups don't really have a lot of spin rate on it anyway, was 1762 with a batting average of 0.083, but he only threw that 59 times. So where did all the high ERA, where did all the numbers come from? His sinker and his curveball. His curveball was thrown 78% of the time. Spin rate was good, 2,701. Whiff percentage was 20.6, but batting average against his curveball was 444. Not good. Sinker, 71 times. Batting average against that was 556, and his spin rate on that was 2,393. So what I see with these numbers is a pitcher the Astros can work with. Yes, the sinker maybe didn't sink enough. Maybe it sunk right into the strike zone. Maybe the curveball didn't break enough. Maybe it broke right into the strike zone. But I think this is something that the Astros can fix. We've seen them turn Charlie freaking Morton into a ace, so to speak. And so I think that what this is, I don't think he's going to be ace. Don't quote me on that, but I think he's going to be another piece to this bullpen, another piece to this rotation. Because as we saw last year, the 5 or 6 starters you're going to start the season with, that's probably not what you're going to finish with. You're going to need people to step up. And that's what Teng is. He's another option. And so this is something, this is good. And if you might say, well, how does that compare to what he's done in the past? The spin rate is pretty identical to what he's done in the past. That I guess the changeup, the spin rate was a little bit higher in 2024, but all the other numbers are pretty comparable across the board. So I think that, like I said, this is a total Astros move. This is a guy that has team control. This is a guy that can pitch in the bullpen. He could pitch as a starter. And this is not somebody that's guaranteed a roster spot. You can put him down in AAA and stretch him out. He could be another option down the road. But this is just another piece to the puzzle. If you don't have Framber Valdez still has not found a home. But he is another piece to the puzzle. And that's what I like about what Dana Brown is doing. Yes, they're not going out there and getting the big free agents. They're not going out there spending millions and millions of dollars. But what they are doing is they are supplementing pieces that they lost with other players and players that can play a big role. So next, who did they trade away? Who did they have to DFA? all coming up on the Locked On Astros podcast. Thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day. Hey guys, if you're like me, TurboTax is going to save the day because tax season is here. And I've got all these W-2s coming in, 1099s, whatever it is. I think I'm about to pull my hair out because it's so stressful, right? Well, you got TurboTax, and TurboTax full service is here. You can get your taxes done for you by a trusted local expert, start to finish, without the stress or guesswork. So instead of spending hours trying to figure out the forms, you can meet with someone local, online, in person, whatever you want. They handle everything from W-2s to self-employed forms and work to get every deduction. You can upload your documents, go about your day, and get updates right in the TurboTax app. So for a limited time, you can have your taxes done by a local expert for just $150, all in. If a TurboTax expert didn't file for you last year, just file by February 28th, and you can get the stress taken off of you. Take taxes off your plate and get back to your life. Visit turbotax.com/LockedOnAstros to book your appointment today. Hey guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day, whether it's on YouTube. Go and subscribe to us. Go and make this your first listen. Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts, go and check us out. So the Astros did make a trade today. They traded for Kai-Wei Teng. And so this is another piece to the puzzle. I'm not even sure that Dana Brown is done. I think that the Astros do have a crowded infield, and we'll talk about Chandler Rome's projected lineup on opening day, and somebody is not in the opening day lineup. And so we'll talk about who, and is this basically going to be an issue for the entire season? But for right now, let's focus on who the Astros had to trade away and who did the Astros have to DFA. So let's go ahead and talk about who the Astros traded away. They traded away their 13th best prospect. This is catcher Jancel Villa Real. This is tentative. I don't know if it's made official yet, but he is the 13th overall catcher prospect for the Houston Astros. He had a career 378 on base percentage across 4 minor league seasons. So he's pretty much that's why he's number 13 up there. I think that over the next few seasons, you might have heard of his name, maybe as a backup catching option. But the thing about the Astros over the past, 4 or 5 years, you can't say that they've had a lot of catching options. Like César Salazar, we'll talk about the catching situation in a little bit, but he's been kind of the backup catcher. And he's actually out of options because the Astros have kind of brought him up so much because he's been the steady guy, the guy that you're going to go to, and you didn't have any better options. But Villarreal, maybe this is a guy that maybe gets a chance with the Giants towards the end of the year, maybe to start the year. Depends on how the Astros are the Giants are in the catching situation. But the big thing here is the Astros had a DFA. I don't know if he's a fan favorite, but I know a lot of people root for this guy, JP France. I know that he missed a lot of time with the Houston Astros. He was drafted by the Astros in 2018. He spent his whole career with the Astros so far. He has a career 12-9 record, 4.35 ERA, has 128 strikeouts over 165 innings. That's across 3 seasons. So he had that strong rookie season. We all remember when JP France came on, especially with the mustache. But he had a 3.83 ERA that season with 24 appearances, 23 of them were starts. But then 2024, he struggled before having to have shoulder surgery. He did return in 2025 to make a few relief appearances, but spent most of the season rebuilding. So the Astros had to make some decisions, and it's going to get rougher from this point on. You may have a fan favorite that may get DFA'd or traded, because I know a lot of people want to keep Jake Myers. He may be traded. Esak Paredes may be traded. Don't get too attached to anybody, because I think Dana Brown has a plan, and he's trying to make this plan come to fruition. So over the next week or so before spring training starts around Valentine's Day, I think you're going to see this roster take shape. And if it doesn't take shape, then Joe Espada has the task of trying to figure out how to get everybody playing time. But JP France, they needed a roster spot, and they had all these options that could really help them in the rotation and the bullpen. I don't think that JP France was a guy that they felt they can count on in the bullpen. And so that's why they felt like they had to make this move. JP France is also somebody that could probably pass through waivers unclaimed and possibly go back to AAA and just get off the 40-man roster. And the Astros thought that maybe he can maybe stay with the Houston Astros. So we'll see what happens to JP France. But I know that a lot of people rooted for him. A lot of people wanted to see him succeed. I know I'm one of them. But sometimes it's just you got to make those tough decisions. But JP France, I know in 2024, he was one of those bright spots, and people really wanted to see him succeed. But as we saw with Luis Garcia, who is that? Urquidy, just a lot of these pitchers have the early success, and then they have the injury issues. Then you just can't sometimes recover. But we'll see what Christian Javier does. Does he rebound? Does he recover? And everything. So I think that I believe I saw the Astros signed a lefty as well for $900,000. Let me see who that was. Tom Cosgrove. He's a left-hander. He makes $900,000 if he makes the majors. He gets an invite to Major League camp, but this is just, once again, another option the Astros are doing. And like I said, the Astros are not spending the million dollars like a lot of other teams are doing. Like I saw Bob Nightingale. I don't know if y'all saw this, but he was rating all the teams' off seasons, and I really thought that he was going to give the Astros a C or maybe a bad grade, but he gave the Astros a B minus. The Mariners got a B plus. I don't know if I finished looking at the other teams, but in the AL West. But basically what he said was there was a crowded infield, and likely Dana Brown is not done because there's no place for Esak Paredes to play, and you've replaced Framber Valdez with a whole bunch of other guys, and Imai. And Imai, I think, is going to be the biggest Framber Valdez replacement. And so I think a lot of people the Astros haven't gone out and spent the money like the Dodgers have and some other teams, but what they've done is they've put a lot of pieces together. So next, we got to talk. I know we've been talking about the infield, and people want us to stop talking about Esak Paredes and the whole situation there, but we've got to address the backup catcher, or do we? We'll talk about this next on the Locked On Astros podcast. Hey guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day. Whether it's on YouTube, go and subscribe to us. Go and make it your first listen. Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts, go and make us your first listen. So if you haven't heard about the Everydayers Club, it's just this awesome option that you can subscribe to. It's just for $5 a month or $50 a year. You can go ahead and have access to Discord, ad-free versions of the podcast where you don't have to listen to commercials. Or if you want access, upgrade to the all access version, you can get access to the to subtext where you can text Brett and I and ask us questions. You can go ahead and get access to the daily newsletter where we send after every podcast, we kind of give you a summary of what the show says, if we don't do a show that night, we do some type of newsletter about what's going on in the Astros world. There's also discounts, and there's just so many different benefits for joining the Everydayers Club. So we appreciate everybody that have been listening to podcasts since the very beginning. So thank you for that. So I know that a lot of people are like, let's just trade Yainer Diaz and have somebody else be the starting catcher. Yainer Diaz is going to be given another chance. I know he had a semi-bad year offensively last year. Defense was not his best year, but he is the starting catcher right now. You can't put him at DH. You don't have any room at first base. But before we get started, I do want to kind of go over Chandler Rome's. Oh, I guess I'll talk about it a little bit. I don't have it right in front of me. But the Astros, like Chandler Rome did put out his opening day lineup, and you saw Zach Cole in it, but no Esak Paredes, because there's really no way to play him. Yainer Diaz is in the opening day lineup, but the question is, who will be the starting catcher? Backup catcher. And so I know if you looked at who they have right now, you have César Salazar. A lot of people say, well, if you have him at the major league level for too long, he's going to be exposed to big league pitching, and they're going to figure out how to get him out. But he hasn't really had a lot of success at the big league level anyway. He had a pretty good spring training one year, I remember, but he is out of minor league options, and he's on a league minimum salary. So he's likely going to make the opening day roster unless they add another player. So I know we've been talking free agency. I know there's still a lot of options. Some of the rumors that we've heard recently is Christian Vázquez, somebody that was already on the Astros roster at one point after the trade with the Red Sox. So he's familiar with some of the pitching. I think some of the pitchers are still around because there's been so much turnover. But Vázquez would be a good option as a backup guy. The question is, does he think he's still a starter? Do the Astros have room under the budget to still make this happen? So if you're looking at, I believe Carlos Perez is somehow back in the Astros farm system. So that's another option. You have some of the younger guys that could possibly make that leap, like Yainer, but I think that they still want to give him some more time. You have Colin Prince. There's other names, but I think they're going to go with Salazar if they don't make any other moves. And so I don't know what he can do given the chance, but if you think about it, he really hasn't been given the chance at the big league level. And that's because the Astros have had Victor Caratini, and there's been no place to play him, basically, for the past few years. I thought I had the stats in front of me, but César Salazar, over his time with the Houston Astros, has played he's only had 13. No, sorry, that's in 2025. He's had 13 at-bats last year, had a 231 batting average, 606 OPS, and a OPS plus of 75. You're looking at his career, he's only got 56 at-bats. That's a 232 batting average with a 68 OPS plus. So his offense is not part of his game. It can be. Like we saw that one spring training where he went off, and I think he hit like 3 home runs for the Astros spring training. I just remember he went into beast mode or something like that. But the deal for Teng was just made official. JP France was officially DFA'd. So this was from Brian McTaggart. That was just came across the dash right now. So we'll see. What does this mean for Lance McCullers? Does he still have a chance to make the opening new roster? What I like about this is it's creating battles, and you have all these options for the catching position. And so, yes, if you bring in Christian Vázquez, that'll be a different situation. But I think you need somebody battling Salazar in spring training, because if you say, hey, kid, the job's yours, I'm not saying that Salazar is going to come in and loaf it during spring training, but you want to give them some type of incentive, and you want to have backup. Because let's say all these other guys like Jonah Heim or all these other guys, they just go sign somewhere else. You want to have somebody that can back up Salazar if you don't want these other guys. So we'll see. I know a lot of people are saying Martin Maldonado, but he is retired and he is coaching now. So we can jump off that Martin Maldonado train, please. We've been hearing this for the past, 3 seasons since he left. Maldonado is no longer playing baseball. But I know that a lot of people want to Caratini back, but I think that he went to the Twins. I'm pretty sure he's going to be the starting catcher. If he's not going to be a starting catcher, he'll get a little bit more playing time than he would with the Astros because they have a loaded infield. You don't have a place for Esak Paredes to play on a regular basis. And if you look at the lineup, there's no, yes, you can rotate people in and out, but you're not going to give all these guys rest days. Oh, Altuve, you need a rest day once a week. Oh, Christian Walker, you need a rest day once a week. Oh, Carlos Correa, you need a rest day once a week. And it's just, it's the Carlos Correa thing. I think even Bob Nightingale mentioned that. I think Carlos Correa is going to do wonders for this clubhouse, this organization. I think he's going to be the sheriff. He's going to come to town and kind of right the ship. I think his personality was much needed, but also it created a logjam. The Astros needed him last year, and now they have to try to figure out how to do it. Trust me, I don't want to trade Paredes. He is made to play at Daikin Park. But the question is, where do you play him? How often are you going to play him? And he's listed as a backup player right now. A backup player. I just don't see that sitting well for somebody that still has a year of arbitration left. And so something's got to give, whether that's some type of trade of Christian Walker. We'll see. Titan says, don't worry, Eric, I never get attached to players. So I know that every time I don't buy jerseys anymore because every time I buy a jersey, it seems to be that player gets shipped off. My ex-wife bought me Carlos Correa jersey for my birthday one year, and then I think a year later he signed somewhere else. I think I got Kyle Tucker jersey. It was on clearance. It was one of those Space City ones, and then he got traded away. And so it just, maybe me buying jerseys is bad luck. So I'm not buying any more Astros jerseys. But if y'all want to buy me Astros jerseys, that's fine. But me buying jerseys, I think that's bad luck. But guys, the Astros, they brought in another option for the rotation, bullpen, swing man, whatever you want to call him, lawn man. Bulk, if they decide to go to that option, have an opener at some game, have a bullpen game. That's what Teng represents. If you weren't here at the beginning of the show, I did mention his spin rate is wicked. I think the Astros can, if they can work on his delivery, maybe try to miss some bats more. I think the Astros have a plan with him. There's a reason why they targeted him. They had to give up their 13th best prospect, but on the Astros farm system, that's 13th is probably maybe 25th, 30th in some systems. So maybe they didn't give up that much for somebody that does have some experience and some good StatCast numbers. So guys, have a great weekend. If there's any other trades, Brett and I will come back. Thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day. If you haven't heard about the Everydayers Club, we have great options with the all access version. This is one thing I like. I haven't had a chance to do it because I was getting ready for a podcast, but I'm going to send out an announcement to subtext and have conversations with all our everydayers and just say, hey, what do you think about this trade? And we have interactions through subtext, through all access version. And you can also go ahead and get the newsletter and get access to Discord, get access to the ad-free version of the podcast. There's so many different great things about the Everydayers Club, and you can go to lockedonastros.supercast.com to go ahead and subscribe today. So my name is Eric Huysman. Brett Chancellor will be back next week, and thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day. And as Brett always says, go Astros.